Good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, depending on what side of the world and what day you're watching or listening. This is The Truth is Still Straight, and I'm Jonathan St. James, along with, once again, LaDonna Marie, Dawn Kane, M. Kane, excuse me, and Donnie St. James up there in the top left.
Hello, hello.
I was waiting for that.
Hey, everybody.
So, okay, for those of you who are not following LaDonna Marie anywhere in the world, which you should be at this point in time, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, before we get into what she's doing, please tell everyone where we can find you, LaDonna Marie, in terms of social media. So anyone who kind of flies through, which we seem to be getting these days, people just fly by on the YouTube and they're like, oh, okay. So if you can explain that, and then I guess you can tell us, well, I'll let you explain that, and then you can tell us what you've been up to lately. Great things, by the way.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate, any opportunity to share. So hello, everyone. I'm LaDonna Marie. I'm an internationally multi-award winning author and a CEO of Planting Positive Seeds, personal development coach, and also a pastor. And so you can stay connected with me by going to my website, which is www.ladonnamarie.org. Also, if you're on social media, I have a business page that is called LaDonna Marie Books. And so on that page, you'll see all about the books and different things that I have. Also, my nonprofit, which is called Planting Positive Seeds. I also have a page on Facebook called Planting Positive Seeds, Inc. I'm also on Instagram under Planting Positive Seeds, Inc. and under Author LaDonna on Instagram as well for LMB_poetry. Because back in the day, I thought I was only going to be doing poetry, but it's LaDonna Marie Books_poetry. And so if they just get connected from my website, which is www.ladonnamarie.org, you'll see places that you can connect to each one of those places on my website. So thank you.
So now that you've gotten that out of the way, so, I see you so fancy here today. I saw you yesterday doing your lives and stuff like that, and saw your photos. You looked amazing. So what was going on? I saw a couple of plaques and stuff like that. So what's been going on there?
Thank you. So on yesterday, I was honored. My nonprofit actually got its first award. We were honored I was honored. Right. Kudos. Like, I've been thanking God and been happy like all day and all night. And I'm very, very humble because this is the first award in 8 years. I started Planting Positive Seeds in 2013 when the Lord said, do it. It was in July. I was in sunny California. I was riding around and I could hear him say, Planting Positive Seeds, you're going to do a conference. Go for it. And so I just started on that leap of faith. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just trusted that he was going to guide me in the right direction. And so here we are 8 years later. I'm receiving this award, and it meant so much to me because like the people who presented the awards, they said on yesterday that they had gone through many years and they never had been celebrated. They were doing things and God knew what they were doing. People could see the labor of their love and what they were doing. And so they decided to celebrate and pick people all over the state of Mississippi to celebrate them who was doing the exact same thing, who was making a stamp in the communities nationwide, countrywide, and, didn't get as much recognition. And so I was humbled because planting positive seeds, I try to plant positive seeds in the lives of others daily. And so it's something that I do through encouraging, motivating, empowering. And I do it behind the scenes. I mean, even in my own nonprofit, I'm like the servant of all. I love getting people together, bringing the girls together, bringing the women together. And even in times when over the years, when I may have said it was only for women or only for girls, I never turned away the men or the young boys who wanted to come, because I felt like at the end of the day, whatever God gave me to give them, they could get the principle. And so I was just honored. I mean, I didn't want to cry because I didn't want to mess up my makeup on yesterday, but I was really, really thankful. And like I said, even today, I've just been thanking the Lord that he knows my name. Since then I started the nonprofit when I lived in Georgia, but now I live in Mississippi. And so it was very important because when I got ready to move to Mississippi, I was like, Lord, are you sure? you want me to move back to Mississippi? And he was so sure because he told me that everything that I had built from the ground up and learning how to do and striving when there were 200 different nonprofits and places in Georgia, when I was just like the 1 out of 200. Now I'm in Mississippi and I'm probably like the 1 out of 5. And so I had to bring what he had started in me in Georgia to a community who didn't have it, to a young people who didn't know that people were really cheering for them and they didn't want anything from them. They just wanted to see them win, or to a place where women could feel that they were supported and nobody was trying to manipulate them. And so I thank God that everything that he gives me to do, I've been doing it. I'm not going to say that throughout the years I didn't kick and scream, because most of the things that you see, I just listen to the Lord do. I just listen to the Lord give me the plan, and then I execute it. And many times I executed it all by myself. And so when you see all those people and everybody else who came, they came on the day of, but the countless times of planning and writing and buying and even wrapping up, like this, I usually do seeds with Bible scriptures, like doing things like this. Those were tireless efforts that I did behind the scenes. And so this award meant so much to me because I knew that it was a labor of love, planting positive seeds. And I'm never just so, hung up on awards, but I am hung up on making an impact. And when someone wants to honor you and celebrate you because of what you do, I was humbled on that on yesterday. So thank you for letting me share that, because Planting Positive Seeds is my baby. And I'm just glad that I've gotten the opportunity to touch lives in Mississippi and also globally, because I did some things with Kenya. I've done some things in the nursing home. So, and all of my donors and people who give to Planting Positive Seeds. So if it wasn't for them, I accepted that award on yesterday on behalf of all of my volunteers, my board members, and everyone who has, did anything for Planting Positive Seeds, because I couldn't do it without the strength of the Lord and without the others who have helped me along the way.
Now, let me ask you this question really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody wanted to donate, how do people donate to you? Because I just heard you say donation. So
yeah, they can donate either 2 ways. You can go over to Planting Positive Seeds. I have a donation link for PayPal, so they can give at PayPal. It's called Planting Positive Seeds. It's PPS or PP Seeds, or they can just use they can use my email address, which is info at LaDonna Marie on PayPal for Planting Positive Seeds nonprofit. If they want to mail in something, because we are a 501(c), and you will get tax deductible letters for the end of the year or for your taxes. And so they can mail in checks or donations to 421 Gravel Hill Road, Fayette, Mississippi. And so, and also, if you're on Amazon, you can select Planting Positive Seeds on Amazon Smile as the charity that you would like to donate every time you make a swipe. They don't take anything from your purchase. They don't add anything from your purchase. But if you select a nonprofit that you want to, and it doesn't have to be mine, but hey, I would love for it to be Planting Positive Seeds. They will donate to the nonprofit. And so we can do PayPal. They can also mail in some type of payment if they would like to.
That's pretty amazing. I'm proud of you, by the way. I think it's great. I always enjoy watching all the things you do. It's kind of like traveling somewhere without having to leave your seat. So I'm not going a lot of places these days other than work and home, but I enjoy it. You seem to be loving every moment of it, and I can appreciate all the things that you're doing, because I know not only are you doing good things for yourself, but all the people around you. And we definitely need more of that in this day and age of just so much negative people out in the world. We just see so many things, people dying, people getting killed, just people strung out on drugs and all types of things. It's good to see fine and wonderful things happening in the world for a change.
Thank you so much. And if anyone wants to, they can go over to plantedpositiveseeds.com. That's the website that I have. They can follow us on Planted Positive Seeds Inc. on Instagram. And like I said, Planted Positive Seeds on Facebook. And so I'm humbled. We have about 5 initiatives. We have the conference that we have every year. This year, we're giving away 2 scholarships to 2 girls who are graduating from high school, going to college. So this is the first year we're having our scholarship. So the monies that I've collected all last year, they're going to be awarded to 2 girls who are going to graduate from high school. And we do, like I said, the community and locally and globally outreaches. Last year, we were able to give over $500 to the girls in Kenya to buy toiletries and different things that they needed because we couldn't ship anything due to COVID and all of the rules and restrictions. So we donated the money on behalf of Planted Positive Seeds and the donors. And then I do Resilient Queen mentoring with the nonprofit as well for women and girls. And so it's a blessed thing. And the last thing that we're doing is I'm implementing a suicide prevention and awareness key because I am a suicide survivor. Yeah, I'm a suicide survivor and overcomer. And so I feel that it's more important for me to empower those who are in that moment because I want to show them that, 20 something plus years now, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing because God believed in me. And so I want to be the person here to believe in them and to show them that they are created for something greater. And so I'm finished talking.
Yeah. Ooh, I got a little emotional there for a second. Okay. All right, Dawn. So I know you've been busy lately. I know you definitely got things going on in your side of the world. So let us know what you've been up to in these past days.
Yes. Thank you. Also just want to say shout out to LaDonna. I think it's amazing and super, super, super inspiring what you're doing. Especially connecting with the suicide survivor bit, I think that's not talked about enough. I as well feel like I am a suicide survivor, and to be able to empower women and people, during those dark times, I think is like really admirable of you, and I support you all the way. And I hope that you have nothing but success in the next this lifetime. As for me, I've been kind of popping off on social media. I've just kind of, nothing crazy, but I just find that I'm really finding this new strength within myself, and this new confidence. So, through TikTok and through posting, I'm trying to put out my poetry more. I posted a nice poem for Earth Day on Earth Day. And that was kind of the first time I put something out there. And it's hard being vulnerable, especially being an artist, especially being a writer. Everything I write is from the heart and my soul. So having to put it out there for so many people to see is a little nerve-wracking, but I'm hoping this can kind of build a brand and image for myself. So that's where I'm kind of doing the groundwork now. Other than that, just kind of posting on TikTok and trying to be creative and innovative. I've actually got approached by this organization called Uplift Black in Barrie. It's this Black and queer empowerment community organization. And last year when I did the Black Lives Matter protest, I met the founder, Shelly Skinner. And the other day I went for a walk and this random lady asked me if I followed this organization and told me I should contact them. And I thought it was strange, because it's so random, but I already knew the founder. So I was like, okay, maybe this is a little bit of a sign. Maybe I should, pursue this organization that has been around and see how, we can partnership together. And I took a meeting with her and, she was so responsive to my experience and to my identity as a Black woman, and just kind of validated and celebrated me, which was something that, rarely happens, especially in Barrie, a very small white suburban community where it seems like they kind of wanted to keep it white. So for this organization to try to break the mold and, celebrate Black, Indigenous, Brown, Asian communities is something that's foreign to Barrie and something that I really want to help and fight, because I've been in Barrie for 17 years and it's kind of brutal. So I'm here to kind of change the wave. And Shelly Skinner asked me to be a part of an artist collective. They want me to help do this little documentary about an activist around the city. Yeah, and overall, they just really want my ideas and, me as a Black creative, which I think is very important and empowering. So I'm totally on board to do that. and work with that new organization. And yeah, I've just still been building my business. I'm in this business program, and I just did my first elevator pitch the other day. Yeah, so that was pretty exciting, pretty nerve-wracking, but I think I kind of found my voice, throat chakra activated. So I'm excited to continue with this program, and hopefully by my 30th birthday, I can have my own business, my own baby. So that's kind of been it with me. Thanks.
So when is your 30th birthday? When is that?
November 10th.
November 10th. And
Yes.
also, where can people find you in all these locations, TikTok and Instagram and so forth?
Totally. Website is on the way, but you can find me on TikTok at Dawnlisha1, DAWNLISHA1. And you can also find me on Instagram, which is my main platform, at Dawn M. Kane. And yeah, just send me a follow, interact. Let me know if you like my art and stuff. I feel weird posting and being this type of social digital artist, but I think it's the wave. I think it's the next, next thing.
It's so funny that you tell me that it like you feel awkward and stuff like that, but you never give off that energy. Like you never give any level of anything less than comfortable and confident. So whatever you're feeling inside, it definitely doesn't project. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, because I am confident and comfortable with what I'm putting out there. I'm very confident with, myself and my body and my individuality and my spirit and my sensuality. So that shows because, that is who I am. That's my artistry. And that's kind of something I'm proud of. So, at the same time, I am really confident, but you're still always like, ooh, it's just that little flicker of self-doubt.
Yeah. So, I just want to encourage you to keep doing it because I enjoy the progress that you're making. I mean, it feels like 10,000 years ago since I first met you, but you seem to be making strides and definitely just coming into your own. So, I just want to congratulate you on that and certainly look forward to all of the great and wonderful things that you do. And when, you two ladies are superstars, don't forget, it's there. And Donna Marie, I've known you for about 10 years now. So.
Right. I'm not going to forget you. Okay. Not. Can I just say to Dawn, first I want to say congratulations on everything that you're working on. And I just want to let you know, like Juan said, keep going. I know that it can feel vulnerable to let people feel your heart. But I want to tell you that there's another person on the other side of that poem being released, waiting on those words. And I learned that at the age of 14 when I was doing it in high school, because I felt like that too. But as soon as I started letting particular classmates, and I think the Lord was leading me to different people, when I let them read those poems, they said, oh, this is what I needed. Oh, this sounds like my life. And so whatever you're putting out, just remember you're the vessel, even though it's happening to you, but it's not happening for you. It's happening for the next person to get them through where you've overcame. And even if you're sharing some things that resonate in your heart, just know there's another Dawn out there that's feeling exactly what you're feeling. And so that's what got me over sharing my poetry, because I have 5 poetry books. And so sharing my poetry, but every time I shared it, somebody else benefited from it. And so as you continue to share, you will continue to get comfortable because it's what you were born to do. And so continue to light that fire. Continue to put those poems out there, and congratulations on everything. And you're only going up from here.
I love you. Thank you.
That sounds awesome. And like Sister Mary Clarence said, or Dolores Van Cartier in Sister Act 2, if you wake up in the morning and you sing, you're a singer. So just, just think about that. I mean, it's a movie and everything, but it makes a lot of sense. So a lot of people, they don't live up to their own expectations because they're afraid to be who they want to be. People always say, oh, I'm afraid to fail. But if you do nothing, you automatically fail. And that's what people have to understand in life. You can never say you're afraid to fail and don't do anything to succeed, because you're actually afraid to succeed. Because if you do nothing, you fail by default. So that's my word of wisdom. And although I haven't written in a while, I'm into poetry as well. So Donnie, just to let you know, LaDonna Marie, Donnie and myself, we've been going over designs for like he's working on relationship braces,
Oh
and we
yeah, that'll be
figured
done
that
like Tuesday.
I didn't. You have it done already?
I don't know. I said it will be done by Tuesday. I
Okay,
just need to pick up.
yeah, so
Sorry about it.
we're doing relationship braces. Of course, I'm working on how to fix the logo to put it. I don't know if you see how it's on that background there. So that's a PNG logo there. So I took out the background, and I want to do something like that for the t-shirts, and put that on there. And also, I want to on the back of the t-shirts, I want to put all of our names on it.
Oh yeah. Just heads up, I could take out the background for you. You don't have to
Okay.
do all that work.
All right. So if I have another request, if you could put a white, you see where the cable is, maybe put like a red or something there, so that if we put it on a black shirt, I don't know if I'm going to do a black shirt, but just in case we do a black shirt, we have the option. They can see that little black mic cable there, that mic cord.
This
All right.
this is hot. This is great. Awesome. Go, Donnie.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's doing good with the designs there. I mean, he can do anything. All you have to do is just tell him what you want, give him the concept. I mean, he can come up with concepts of his own, but it's always helpful when you have an idea. We sat down and I didn't design any of that, but I gave him the concept of like, I don't know if you see that logo there. And I basically told him I wanted a microphone with like the arrow going through to signify straight. Truth is very hard to put in a logo, but the being that it's a podcast, that we had the earphones as the arrow, so he came up with that whole design based on the conversation. So yeah, maybe he'll get a website soon, hopefully. So
I probably should
increase his business there. I mean, he's been doing some business, but hopefully we can get a website and he can get maybe a professional Instagram or social media, something where he can people can be directed to. I have a cousin that's a tattoo artist. He's an amazing tattoo artist, and he does a lot of Instagram posting. So I can't remember what his Instagram is, so forgive me. Sorry, Xavier. All right, folks. So we're going to start now. So the topic for today's conversation, relationship, is time after time. And then the relationship question is, how long should it take for people to make moves? Now, what do we mean by moves? So, a lot of times we meet people and there's a process. So I see a nice looking woman, I'm interested, and we get some sort of conversation. Maybe I get a phone number. Young people today, they do, which I guess, I'm not a young person. What's your IG? You hear people say, what's your IG? And that's how people, instead of getting phone numbers, they get Instagram accounts. But, here's the problem with Instagram accounts. What if the person is popular? And I'm not going to go too much into that. And they don't really answer their inboxes. So you can be one of 1,000 messages in there. So I don't know if that's quite effective, depending on the person you meet, because if you meet someone that has a lot of admirers, I've seen some young ladies on Instagram, they have 500,000 followers. And I know I've certain celebrities that don't have a lot of followers, I've reached out to try to get to interview, and they don't read their inboxes. So if someone's giving you, how does somebody find you if they don't read their inboxes? Then I have friends that are legitimate friends that I send inboxes to, and they don't read their inboxes either. So I just literally, a friend of mine, Monique, that I had to basically call her out on Facebook and be like, Monique, I tagged her. I'm like, I need to talk to you. And so I kind of cornered her and I said, listen, I want to interview you. She's doing a lot of things herself. It's funny. She worked for 50 Cent for many years. And, I'm not quite sure what she did. I've always been trying to corner her. I'm like, what exactly was your job? She's kind of like Tommy from Martin. She's there, but I don't know exactly what she does. But whatever it is, she was pretty close to him, because they literally traveled wherever in the world he was at, she was at. So if they were in Egypt, if he was in Egypt, she was in Egypt. If he was giving out turkeys on Thanksgiving, she was there. She was on the set of Power. So like whatever it was he was doing, she was involved in. So I know she's doing her own thing now. So I tried to send her a, we're such in the social media world now that I tried to just reach out through social media, and then she was like, no, just send me a text message. So now of course sending the inbox doesn't work. So to make a long story short, I mean, I don't want to dog the method of what young people do, because I'm sure when we were using beepers and stuff like that, some old people somewhere was like, these kids with these beepers, so I'm not gonna knock what they're doing, because I remember we had beepers. That was what I had when I was in my teens, 18. You had the beeper, and then later was cell phones. Cell phones didn't really get popular until like I was in my 20s. So anyway, let's get out of that. So, I'm ranting over here, so please forgive me. I'm feeling like an old person today. No, but no, seriously, so you meet people, have a conversation with them, and you develop, sometimes if it goes well, you date, and sometimes it leads to, it can get into a serious relationship. Sometimes people just hook up and it doesn't work out. And some people, relationship, engagement, marriages, or not marriages, hookups and kids, and all types of variations to meeting someone. So the point is how long should it take for you to make moves? So when you meet someone, how long should it take? So that's what I kind of want to talk about. I think I'm going to let LaDonna Marie kind of just give her thoughts on that first, if you don't mind, because I have an idea, but I would like to hear what other people have to say first, because I feel like I do a lot of talking on this show. So, we're talking about meeting somebody. And I guess a lady's perspective is nice, because, us guys, we think everything should, I don't want to say in general, but sometimes we think, hey, how you doing? And then you got to be that guy's girlfriend like the same day. So, from a lady's perspective, what are some of the things, I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. What are some of the things that when people are meeting people, what are some of the things that should contribute to how do you progress in relationships with someone when you meet them? So I guess not necessarily how long yet, but what should some people do to get to the next point before we talk about, because I think the time doesn't matter, more so what you do each day, because you can do nothing in a year. So we can't say, a year, but if you do nothing in a year, it doesn't matter, versus like what things people should do to progress, to say, okay, so I feel comfortable with talking on the phone, let's go out on a date. Or I feel comfortable on a date, then we should try something else. So does that make a little bit more sense now? All right, so help me out here.
Okay, so the one who has not been in a relationship for a very long time, I've been divorced for this makes year 8. But this is always good conversation, because, I do want to get back on the dating scene. But for me, I think some of the things that you should, in the beginning, I wrote down a couple of things. First, there needs to be some, good communication. I think that when you are potentially wanting to date someone or to start conversating with them, like what you say and how you approach them, it basically has to kind of line up, like some of the younger people, they'll say different things, or, they have those little lines. I think people still do use lines on people. But the communication has to be clear. What I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with, saying being, nice. I want to say not really. You can flirt a little bit, but at the same time, the communication has to be clear on the intention. And so that's another thing that I wrote down, like your intentions on, this is somebody I particularly would like to date, would like to go out on, a date with, or I can at least, like you said, we can start off with a communication, because some people get lost in the inboxes, and that's just as far as they go, because
Yes.
their communication is not on. They may be disrespectful, or they may just be coming at you because you're beautiful and they don't respect who you are as a person. So like I said, communication first, like how you come at a person or the person that you are desiring to be in a relationship with, or if it goes that way, because everything may not even end up in a relationship mode, but just a potential person. With me in the beginning, I'm one of those persons that now in this season of my life, I just don't want to date a lot of random people, but I want to, from the beginning, it's going to be a date with a purpose. And so like, it's getting to know you with a purpose. Like you're not getting to know me so that we can hook up, because that's not what I'm doing at this point in my life. I've been celibate for a very long time. So I don't have any qualms about saying, hey, I'm abstinent, or, if you think, or that's the way that you're thinking, I clarify that in the beginning. Just dating with the purpose or with the intent to date. So for me, I think, even if you going into someone's inbox, you should already kind of know what you like, what you desire, what is the outcome, because that is going to kind of charter the path of, if we're communicating, we're getting to know each other, by who we are presenting at that time. And sometimes you do have to get to know people, because you remember that book, like, I think it was like 90 days or your 90 day person. Yeah, you have to continue to be who you are. So that goes way past 90 days. And like, you can keep it light. I'm just saying, these are some of the things that I think that you should do. But in the beginning, you can keep it light, because what you're doing is, and like I told some of my young girls at school, it's all research. Because that person, even to that first conversation that you have, they may be nice, they may be kind, but as you begin to align up your values, your purpose, what you want, what you desire, they may not be the person for you. So like, that communication has to be clear from the beginning. And also just knowing, potentially what you want and what you're looking for, so that it can begin to line up. Because as you get to know a person, it's information that you're gathering to see if we can actually go from a text message to a phone call to, okay, maybe we're going to go out on a date. And so that's just where I'm gonna leave it, and I'm gonna let somebody else get it.
All right, Dawn. So I know that time is of essence for you. So I just want you to run right in there and add whatever ingredients you have to the gumbo, and let us know what you're feeling.
All right. Well, I'm so on board with you, LaDonna. I think you touched on like really the most important things, which are communication and having fun, being upfront, and having that mutual understanding. I've had an interesting experience dating men. I'm not really good at it, I don't think. I find that I guess I haven't aligned with somebody who has the same purpose of dating. And for me right now, it's like, it's to get married. It's to have kids with one person. It's to, find my soulmate and have that true love, because that is probably the most important thing. I think in that human experience, we don't get to choose a lot of things. We don't get to choose a lot of, pillars of our life, but we do get to choose who we love and who we marry and who we have kids with and who we spend the rest of our life with. So for me, this task of like dating has always been like a serious one. So when I meet people, I would prefer if you were upfront and if you're honest with your intention, because if you're just trying to swindle me and trying to manipulate me, I'm gonna find out pretty quick. Women are pretty smart with like knowing men's intention. So like, if you don't have the intent of dating, to get married, then we're not really going to go far. And we don't have to like have that expectation at first. No way. Like when you first start dating somebody, there should be no expectation. It should just be getting to know them, getting to like showing your interest, just like, communicating with them and meeting them halfway to see if you can build on top of that. So when you put expectations on it, like maybe how I did in the past, where I was like, okay, you know what, I'm dating, I'm with you right now so I can like marry you. It kind of turns people off, because you're taking away that fun aspect where it's like, we're just getting to know each other. We're keeping it light, And I think that if you don't have expectation and you communicate and you kind of grow day by day with each other with like little acts of trust and commitment and loyalty and showing that you really are interested in that person, I think that can go a really long way. And just standing out and being consistent. If you really care about somebody and you really want to date them, stay consistent with your energy, stay consistent with what you're saying to them and showing them, and what your true purpose is. Because once that inconsistency comes in, then I feel like that drives a huge wedge in the trust and in the relationship. Especially for me personally, as soon as you're inconsistent, I'm like, what's up? What's going on? What are you doing? So yeah, I think those are my kind of main points with dating. But hey, what do I know, man? What do I know?
All right, Donnie. So you're next on this list here. So from your perspective, what do you have to say?
I was gonna say something somewhat similar to what the other two have said. Seems like we're kind of on the same page in terms of being clear with communication. I'm gonna give a slightly different reason though for it, but I'm on that page. For me, I'd say it's important to express what you're going for from the start, because the longer you wait, people aren't usually willing to hang out forever. They're not willing to stick around while someone else might be more clear about what they want from the start. So I think a lot of people get into the issue of maybe they took too long to make a move, and then they get stuck in that infamous friend zone you always hear about, or whatever else. Or maybe they move too quickly, and that caused a separate issue. But I'll talk about that later. I think there's never a problem with expressing your interest from the start, but just trying to force something else after that, that's where the problems come in. I just wanted to make that distinction. I think, yes, expectations, that's a part of the communication thing, but that's huge. I'd say know what your expectations are going in. You don't have to throw them on someone. However, just know what they are. That way, when you're taking that period of time to kind of get to know them, maybe you won't even need to have that conversation, because when you get to know somebody, you can generally feel if they're going the same way as you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my piece on that.
Take your time. Take your time. Oh, no, just all right. For those of you who don't go to church, that's when you're loving what the pastor's saying. You take your time. Take your time. All right. So no, definitely, I agree 100% with that. So I'm actually want to talk about one thing that I think, not that I disagree with anyone, but I wanted to add, is getting to know people's values. I think that's important. And you should, you got to know people's values when you meet them, because that's what's really going to make and break. Because if you share value with someone, for example, if relationships mean a lot to you and they mean a lot to the person, when things go bad or things are at a fork in the road, when you share the value of someone, they tend to move with you and not against you. So if you're a person that, yes, relationships, marriage, those are important things to you. If there's something wrong, the person, if they share the same value, they'll more likely work with you. They'll sit down and talk and communicate with you because they know it's important. There's so many people that get together with people who have opposing values, and then it just becomes very dangerous, because then when one person is trying to work it out, the other person is running in the other direction. And then there's a clash because you believe something and the other person doesn't believe it at all. And now you've invested so much time, so much emotion in that relationship, that marriage. And then the person that doesn't share the value is now just making things just horrible for you, because they don't believe in what you believe in. So I think values, getting to know people's values, is something when you meet them, that's something that you can do very subtly. You don't have to do, what's your values? Tell me right now. You can kind of, ease into it. You don't have to rush into getting to know what people's about. You can kind of watch people and see how they view certain things. You can ask them questions. You can see something on TV and ask them what they think about that. So you don't necessarily have to give someone an interview, because a lot of people do that. And that is not good either, because a lot of times when people ask people in that in that manner, they often project what they expect from somebody, and expectations should never be given. It should be understood. So what I mean by that is you should never tell someone, well, I want a person that does this. I want a person that does that. You should never tell someone to do that, because if someone is willing to do harm to you, then they're going to fall into that line to get you. And, I was once talking to this woman some years ago, and, I was trying to feel around. And so she was everything that I couldn't deal with in a woman. Like, she was just all over, there's a saying that they say for the streets. So she was for the streets, like she lived in she was from New York City. She moved to North Carolina. And let's just say she had a very lovely tour of North Carolina, to the point where it was like she was in bed with her pastor. So I was like, whoa, this lady is just too much for me. I'm just, I couldn't deal with it. So she was like, oh, you should come see me. And I'm like thinking about it, because I really liked her, but I'm like, she's too, all over the place. Just no integrity. Because I'm like, if you don't care about having sex with the pastor of your church, then how do I fall into that? So where do you revere me? If you didn't revere somebody who should have been revered, even if the guy was a low down, dirty person, you should have had enough respect to be like, you're a pastor, I'm not messing with you. Get out of my face. If no one else, that's how I feel. There's just some people in life, if they're doing wrong, you should be like, no, I'm not going that direction. Even if that's your lifestyle, you got to draw the line somewhere. But if you draw the line nowhere, I'm like, oh my goodness. So when I stopped, when I told her I wasn't interested anymore, she asked me why. And I told her, well, listen, I'm not going to judge you. That's not my place in life. But the thing that I can tell you is your lifestyle is not for me. And she was like, well, why didn't you say something? Then she started to say, well, I could have. I said, I can't tell you how to be good for me. You have to already be good for me. I can't make you good for me. You have to already be that. And that's what happens when we meet so many people. When they like us and we like them, we want to try to fit them into what's right for us. But if they're not right for us to start with, they're not going to be right for us to end with. And so that's my point when you say you got to know people's values, because if your values don't match up, guess what? When you're on somewhere down that road, is going to crash. You're going to crash with that person. And then you're going to find out really how bad it is, because your values don't meet up. So that's what I wanted to say. But I wanted to give it over to Dawn, because I know Dawn is gone in 60 seconds real fast. And then LaDonna Marie, you could pick up after her.
Yeah, thank you. And I wish I could have stayed all day, but I'm in Toronto right now visiting the family. It's my cousin's birthday, so we gotta.
Even though you told me you wasn't gonna be doing that, but that's a different story.
But okay. At least I'm here.
Yes, you are here. I'm not complaining. Go ahead. I don't want to lessen the time. Go ahead.
But yeah, we got, we're gonna be doing this for a long time, so you guys are gonna get sick of me soon enough.
Never.
So but I think that is brilliant what you said, because I tend to kind of fantasize about the expectations, and I tend to think that the other person has the same expectation, so we're on the same page, but we don't, because we don't have the same values. And I think once you understand a person's values, you understand a person's behaviors, you understand a person's emotion, and you understand what they truly want out of the relationship in life. So it's about that communication, understanding each other, and taking the time to not rush things. Get to know the person. If you want a meaningful, honest relationship, find out who they are before you try to force them in a relationship or try to force them into loving you. See if that person really is the one for you, because most of the time we tend to push our ideals onto other people. And I know for a fact I do that. There's this person that I've been seeing for a while, and I want him to be the one so bad, but I don't know if he wants to be the one. And that's for me to just let go and to just keep moving forward, because there are other people out there who are sure and who want to, try and, work it out or have a date or something, so I shouldn't be so focused on trying to make somebody, do things when there's other people who I don't have to force. I don't have to try. I don't have to pull teeth to get them to treat me the way that I feel like I should be treated or, communicated with. So value expectations is super important in those beginning stages. I would agree.
Now, before you get out here, I just want to say that was a juicy revelation there that I had no info. Seeing someone who knew all of that was going on. I'm feeling left out of the storyline here.
That's coming out of your show. You guys are giving me, strength and power and empowerment to just speak. So yeah, there's gonna be some juicy little details.
That was good there. Oh man, I'm feeling like a media takeout over here for a second. Got some TMZ. Got the story. Got the scoop.
I do. Can't name no names though. Can't
okay.
expose.
All right. It's not Idris Elba, is it?
Oh God. It's Michael Jordan.
Or Drake.
Or Drake. Yeah.
All right. So I know you go ahead, because I know your time is very short.
Yeah, thank you. And it was so lovely to see you, LaDonna Marie. Like, your energy is amazing. I love just talking and hearing you talk. It's very helpful for me to hear, another, Black woman talk about her experience that I connect with. So I will be following you and support you. And I just love hearing your story. So I hope you can come more often as well. And I will be here again next week. Love you, John.
We're working on kidnapping her and every Sunday and making sure that she stays put. So
I love y'all. Thank you so much, Don. And be the best that you can be every day. So love you much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Love you. Toodles.
Have a good show.
Don't judge me for saying toodles. Okay. I'm being very soft here.
I'm judging you. Bye.
Okay,
Pop, it's all right. I've said toodles this week. It's
okay. Okay, so I feel better now. I feel better. Listen, I'm trying to listen. I've been accused of being a harsh person, so I'm trying to get in tune with my softer side, because I'm realizing, and we were having this discussion. A friend of mine that's not from New York, and we were talking about how some New Yorkers could be, and I'm like, so I'm trying to be softer. I'm trying to be softer here. Not you, because I'm used to communicating a certain way that can be a little overwhelming to certain people that's not used to people talking the way that many of us talk. I won't say everyone. Some people have manners up here. Not that I don't have manners, but when I feel comfortable with people, I kind of just, let it all out. So
yeah.
All right, so we want to get back on the topic here, talking about, I was talking about the values and stuff like that. So, I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, is that wrong? I mean,
no, that's a great thing. And I wrote that down. I'm glad that you segued into it, because your values do have to line up. And I just want to say, for me, I'm a person I'm a analyzer and an observationist by trade. And so I like when Donnie was saying earlier, like, you don't have to say this, that, and the other. You can actually just observe, saying those things that you need. You do have to be clear with your communication, but
yes,
in values and knowing another person's values. And I just wanted to also give kudos to Dawn for sharing with us her thing, what she shared, because I'm going to say, with me, in relationships past, I knew who I was as a person. I was a one woman, one man, wanted to be in a relationship. And so what I wanted wasn't necessarily what the other people who I was in relationships with, they wanted. And so it was a sense in where I was almost trying to say, like, hey, this is what I need to see. But I, in terms, learned that if they were not given it, it was because either they were not at that same place with me, values wise, or it wasn't just a relationship. Like, this probably was an assignment, and I turned it into a relationship, because, our paths just didn't line up. And I had to learn that the hard way, because I'm naturally a person who, loves to encourage other people, and I'm a healer. And so those who need some things in their life healed, they always will gravitate towards me. But I had to learn the distinction of, maybe I'm not the person to, heal that for you, because you essentially have to do it for yourself. And so I also wrote down that we have to hear the person, not just listen to them. So it's just like, you have to hear what they're saying. You have to hear from the core of what they're giving to you, as far as like their values or things that they want in a relationship, or even looking at, you know what I'm saying, or listening to closely to what they're saying. Because someone could be saying, you know, you may be saying, like, I want to date with the intent to be married, and they may be coming into it saying, I just want a relationship for right now. And so we have to, you know, essentially hear that person from the beginning, because I don't know who said it, but time is of the essence. And I think it was like Donnie, because that may not be what they want at that time. And then you've been and wasted, you know, your valuable time on something that was momentarily or temporarily, and you're wanting something that may, you know, potentially last forever. And so I do believe in those values lining up, because I can tell you, I know we talked many shows ago about a list that I had, and how my list began to evolve. But it evolved based on the values of who I am as a person. You know, so basically, I want someone else that shares those same values. And I'm like Don, I think some of the relationships that I had been in the past, they did not work because we were coming from two different perspectives. And once I learned to honor my self-worth and honor the values that I had, and the things that I was looking for in a potential relationship, I did not just, you know, give all of that time and effort to someone who was not lining up to where we wanted to go. Like I said, it didn't have to be, oh, today I want to be married. And we talk about marriage like every conversation we have, but building those trusts, learning who they are as a person, learning how you treat somebody daily, learning how you treat somebody when no one's really watching you, like integrity and character, like all of those things mean so much more to me. And I know that in relationship, you do get a chance to see the person for who everyone else in the world doesn't get to see. But you have to, like, your values are really, really important. I mean, they're really important, because one more thing, and I just wanted to say that for me, out in the world, people know me as international multi-award-winning author. So I do that, but I'm also LaDonna. And so LaDonna likes quiet time, because I have to be able to write, you know, so I have to be able to hear, and I have to do all that. So if I'm getting into a relationship, and I'm in a relationship with someone who doesn't respect that I need, you know what I'm saying, like quiet time, or, you know, time away to write or to invest in my craft, doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying, you won't get that amount of time and conversation, because if you're getting that, but you cannot monopolize the time. So I've had people who didn't really understand, like, you know, what my values were. It was just like they wanted all of my time, but how can I continue to give when I'm supposed to be giving, you know what I'm saying, in life, if I'm always stuck on someone that needs, like, so dependent on every second of my time. So that's another thing as far as like values as well. And I'm going to yield.
I like that. And it's funny, you said something we said on a previous show, and that's talking about hearing and listening. Because, you know, one of the things that we said is people often hear things, but they're not listening to the sound. So I equated it to, I think, like a truck or like a plane or something. So people always hear things, but they don't listen to what it is exactly listening to. So like a truck could be outside, but people wouldn't know the difference between like a little UPS truck and a 18-wheeler with a sleeper cab in it and stuff like that. So, you know, it's just interesting that you spoke on that, because we kind of hit that a few weeks ago, I think it was. So Donnie, okay, so now we're bringing it over to you. So you've heard what our discussion so far has been about values. So what do you have on that?
I wanted to real quick hop on something that you briefly like just threw in as like a throwaway thing like earlier. It's important not to interrogate people when you're trying to find out about them. It's good to show interest, but when you have to press someone for details about themselves, something's going wrong. I just want to throw in there, like, if they're not sharing with you, you should probably be asking why. Because if it's a matter of comfort, then that's just something that needs to be taken down a notch, and that can be handled. Versus if they just aren't trusting in general, maybe that's something you need to consider in going forward in the relationship. I just want to toss that out there. Um, Speaking on values, I think paying attention to values is incredibly important because well, I think that because of something that happened to me. Uh, to give it the long story short, it's essentially when you are with someone who doesn't share the values that you have, or not necessarily, they don't need to be the same, but they need to at least be compatible. Uh, if you're with someone who doesn't have compatible values, the longer you're with them, you're going to love them even more as time passes, in theory at least. And then it will become increasingly harder to separate yourself from that relationship when you finally hit that moment where you can't move past. Um, it's incredibly important to make sure these things are aligned early on, because wasting years of your life in something when you could have left it long ago, it's not something you want to be caught in.
Right. So I just want to make sure we clarify when I say same values don't mean identical. It means this, they are like-minded, because you can't, you can't be, for example, someone, I'm not to minimize religion, but that's the easiest one that I could use. So you can't be a person that you have, for example, Christian beliefs, and then you have somebody that's an atheist and they're like, well, I don't believe. And so when it comes to your value, so if you truly value your Christianity and marriage and the entity of marriage, and then you have someone that's an atheist and the sanctity of marriage is not quite the same thing, when you have a problem in your marriage, you can't, the process in which you go through to fix the marriage is not the same, because you deal with it on this spiritual level, and some aspects religious level, depending on your background. And then the other person's like, well, like, I don't believe in God. So how do so that's the point that I'm making in terms of the same. I don't mean identical, because no one's going to be identical. There's no one in this world that's exactly like you. And then I'm not saying you, Donnie. I'm just, anybody listening and out there, because, sometimes people hear things, but they, as we just finished saying, they're not listening to what's being said. So we're saying the same things, but it's just when I say same, I don't mean identically, like it's 100% matches, but the essence of the value has to be the same, which means whatever you commit yourself to in believing for yourself, the other person has to have that same level of commitment. Because you don't want someone you're with that you are 100%. And this is how we talked about not 50-50, but 100-100. We had this a couple of conversations ago on a previous show, that is never 50-50, is 100-100. Because 50 means that you're not giving your all. So you have to give all, every bit of yourself. So, 50-50, you might be able to split a bill 50-50, but a relationship should never be 50. It should be 100%. We could talk about mortgage, gas, lights, whatever. You can talk about 50-50 and that, but your relationship should always be, whatever relationship you commit yourself to should be 100%. I see people, they give 100% to their job and they don't give 100% to their relationships or marriages. So, it's sad. It's sad because, you got some people, they're like 4.0 and whatever the highest grade you can get in school in that world, but they got a 0 grade point average in relationships. So you should, if you're going to supply that kind of energy to your daily endeavors, whether it's work, is your friends, or it's your job or education. I said work already, but education, hobbies, your relationship should have that same kind of energy too. And I think we kind of been alluding to that up to this point. Donna Marie talked about integrity and things like that. Those are important things. And also that's another thing that you want people who have integrity. Like when you're not around that person, that they're behaving the same way they are in front of you. And those things are important. And also another thing, I believe we talked about this as well. And, more so I did, but you want somebody who's going to treat the worst person that they care for good. You don't want anybody that's treating treating people badly. Because I always say, if someone has the capability of treating someone else badly, they have the capability of treating you badly. And what I mean by that is an intent to hurt you, to do harm to you, whether it's emotionally, physically, verbally, whatever it is. If that person is capable of being cruel to someone else, they're capable of being cruel to you. So I always tell my especially my young ladies that I know in the world that I meet along the way, when they ask me questions about relationships, I usually tell them, when you meet a guy who even treats the person they don't like with respect. And the reason why I say that is because you could be the person they don't respect. And if they don't treat you appropriately, then what good is your relationship when you have a disagreement and then they're treating you unfairly or poorly or cruel? And you don't want anybody that's capable of those things. And now we all have bad days. We may snap, we may argue, whatever. But there's a difference between you being upset with somebody and having a disagreement than intentionally treating someone a certain way. So you have to know that determination. Now, with that, I'll turn it back over to LaDon Marie.
Yeah, you said some great stuff, and making sure, like, just treating everybody right. That's one thing that we really need to work within ourselves, because even someone that can't do anything for you, you still have to treat them right. Or you can agree to disagree, or you can still walk away just knowing that, you have your opinion, they have theirs. And so when it even comes into relationships, as we're going back to people in relationships and values and things adding up, because you have to be in a relationship with someone that knows how to handle things, because when it comes to a time for you all to have a disagreement, how are you going to react to each other? Like, because in I guess I'm going to say conversations that are heated and disagreements are going to happen. But in the beginning, you do have to know how people are going to react, or if you're going to be able to grow and strengthen from things. And so that goes with values and different things when we're learning the people in relationships. And that goes from observing a person. Like you said, even if you all are going out on dates, or even if you're communicating and you have something that you like and they may not like, just the conversation of what you're having and how they feel, and what feelings arise or emotions arise, and are they able to maintain stress, or are they able to maintain disappointments, and how do they react to different things? These are things that you need to know in the beginning, and that's why I say you need to know it way past the 90-day mark. You need to continue to build even in communication, because like when you're observing someone, you will learn all these things. And like, being that we're on social media, and like you said, the different pages and things that we're on, even looking at the way that they communicate with other people on their timelines, or what they're saying, or even like if you're around the person, how do they treat the waiter at the table when they do something that they don't like? How do they treat, somebody in the parking lot, when they're leaving, or, different things. So you get to learn the person that you're going to be with, because essentially this is, if we're dating on a purpose, or we're just dating for now to see the potential, where could it go? These are important things that you need to know, because not all days are going to be all happy and smiles. That was one of the things that I knew, even when I was married for almost 7.5 years. I knew that there were going to be some times where we agreed to disagree. But at the end of the day, I always felt like, we should know what the most important thing was, that we were in it to be able to work together, to come to a essential point in which we could work through it. And even if it didn't, that it didn't separate us, but that it would be something that would strengthen us. And so we have to know in our relationships, or in the potential relationship that we want to get into, just being able to look at the person, and also know, like, think about their background and where they come from. Because, you may be a person that came from a 2-parent home, and they may be someone who came from a 1-parent home where things were stressful, or things were, a little bit more, or vice versa. We don't know, the life that other people live, because you really can't tell until you get to the chance of learning them. And then those tell signs will be able to come out. But it all stems from, communication, observing who they are as a person, not only what they do, but what they say, because those two things, action and deeds, really line up when you're meeting a person and what, because I was telling my children, you can say things all day long with your mouth, but how you treat someone and what you actually do is essentially who you are. Because, I even tell them sometimes, like with the whole love thing, you can tell somebody you love them, but then if you're treating them bad or you're demeaning them or you're talking about them and you're doing all this other stuff, then that really doesn't equate to love, because love shouldn't hurt. Love should be something that, saying, you're able to feel, like this mutual feeling of joy and everything with it. But you can tell me with your mouth that you love someone, or that you love something about somebody, and then your action could be totally different. And so just making sure that we line up. And like I said, this happens over a journey of time. Doesn't all have to be in the first potential. I said even you start learning people. I said about 5 dates. You should be learning over a span of time, learning who a person is, and also having good communication with the person, not always just talking about something that that you would like to talk about, but being able to pour into and things that they like. And so in those times, you'll get to learn the person that you desire or want to be in a relationship with.
That's excellent. So I want to get to something, but Donnie, did you have something that you wanted to add? Because I don't want to change the topic of the
Oh yeah,
conversation.
no, I was looking to change. I was hoping for the topic change anyway, but I did want to very quickly just toss in something, since you had just clarified about values aligning. I just wanted to clarify something from earlier that was mentioned. I know Dawn, before she had left, she had talked about the idea of the soulmate and the one and all that, and I actually like the concept. I just want to make sure that it's very specific so people listening don't get it misconstrued. I think a lot of people dislike the concept because they think of it as there's one person out there who is that only person you can be with forever or whatever, something along those lines. Whereas the one or this soulmate concept is more like it can shift. It's more like whoever's the one for you right now. You can meet, there could be several ones, and just something else came in the way that stopped it from working. I just wanted to be clear that the one is just someone who can have a long-term future with you. Not necessarily that they're the only person you can ever be with.
I think that also comes with maturity too, because your soulmate is only gonna match your soul. So if your soul has only so much growth, the person that is your soulmate is going to be here. So if you're here and your soulmate is here, then that person is not going to continue to being your soulmate because your soul shifted. It's like, for example, clothes fit you for many years, and if you're a child, you get older, you outgrow your clothes. So the concept of soulmate should be that soul should be growing. You should be growing together with that person, and then they continue to be soulmates. But if the person, that soul doesn't grow and you are growing, then obviously that person is no longer your soulmate because they decided to go in a different direction. So I would always tell people, in that essence, what you're saying, don't try to chase that person down, because you have to sometimes wait for the miracle, and sometimes you have to make the miracle happen. There's miracles in life that we create because we're ordered to do those things. That's in us to make a miracle happen. And then there's just some things that come to us and then we receive it. There's just some things that God gives to us and we receive them. And then there's some things that we make miracles because they're ordered for us to do. So when you have this object of a soulmate, the purpose of the soulmate has to be, this goes back to those values again, because if you share in the values and they're similar, the person that's your soulmate, they will move along with you. And that's where these values come into play. So I see LaDonna Marie got very interested there. So did you want to say something? I think you're muted.
No, that was a good thing. Because, people do think that there's just like the one person. Because this even goes to this, like, what if that person, if you're in a relationship and something happens to that person, that person's passed away, and you want to potentially get married again, or you're, in another relationship. So that means somebody, like you said, coming up with those values or things that are, that you all share in common, then another person, you know what I'm saying, will essentially be in that spot. So I don't really even, you know, go with the label of soulmate, but it is the person that, you know, compatibility and suitability. So it goes with that person for that, like you said, for that time. And so I just think that was interesting. He brought that up because a lot of people need to know that don't just be out there looking for that one, but you are looking for someone that, like you said, shares your values and shares what is suitable for you at this moment, so that you all can grow together. And like you said, not getting stuck, because that happened to me in several relationships where we both said that we were going to grow, but I was very intentional about my growth. And so I kept going and the other person stopped. And so we bumped heads, and then therefore we were no longer equally yoked, because where I was and where they were two separate places. And so it began to be like going in two separate places in two different ways. And so we had to end up essentially parting ways. But that was a good point. Just wanted to plug that.
Donnie, you have something else?
No, continue.
Okay, so I wanted to, let me go back here, because there was one thing that I wanted to talk about. I thought was very important, and the background situation. So an important thing to get to know in a person is someone's background. And why is that important is because someone's background will basically give you an insight to the person, who they are. And in the beginning, in our first episode, Knowing Your Dysfunction, we talked about people who are who they are because of their circumstance. And then there are people who are who they are despite their circumstances. And so what I say is, you want to know somebody's background, their family, how their family lived, how they were raised and stuff like that. And the reason why is because you'll find out if the person is still they're moving in the cycle of their family history, or despite everything that was on it, that they overcame whatever the ills were in their family. And every family has ills. And that's something that you shouldn't be scared or afraid to find out, because if someone asks me about my family ills, I'd be happy to share. Maybe not the first day, but a couple of days down the road. Everybody has their not so proud moments in their family history, and how people turned out as a result, or despite all the circumstances, they turned out okay. So you want to be able to find out those things about people, because history in many families repeats itself. You can see generations of dysfunction that people cannot get it right in relationships. And you can go back to their mothers and fathers. You can see where even sometimes the grandparents, because I've seen some people, some of the dysfunctions that their grandparents had actually jumped to their generation. So the mother's generation changed and was altered in a dysfunctional way, but the daughter received the dysfunction of the mother and the grandparents. So you want to know those things, because if there are people who have dysfunction, depending on the severity of dysfunction, you want to see how that traveled over to them. And a lot of people, there are a lot of people in this world, they haven't escaped their dysfunction. So if somebody is traveling with their dysfunction and they bring it to the relationship with you, then it's going to be hard for you to deal with that, because they don't even know how to deal with it. So you're not a therapist and you're not trained to help someone. So like LaDonna Marie said earlier, being a healer, and if she's a healer and the person is the opposite, if she builds and the person is demolition, what's going to happen? She's going to build the home, she's going to build the foundation, and the demolitionist is just going to tear it down. And there are people like that in relationships, that they don't know how to work things out. They know how to destroy in a second. They'll ruin a relationship like Kevin Samuel says, Thanos, like that. And then the relationship is gone in a matter of moments. So you definitely want to know where people are coming from when you meet them. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to LaDonna Marie and, see what all that motion in the background means.
It just means that you are so on it, because I wrote down several things, but knowing their background is something that, you know what I'm saying, you do need to know. But essentially, you don't hold them to it, but you do need to know. And I'm gonna say the reason why is like you said, some people don't know how to escape what has never been identified, or if they're in denial that it even exists. Because even for in relationships, and you know what I'm saying, looking at generations of patterns and different things in relationships, that's like a very important thing to do. Not many people do it. They don't understand why certain things still happen to them. Certain things go in a circle. But I want to say this is something that I talk about in my upcoming book, The Journey, The Path, is when I decided to just tell the Lord that I wanted to just, put a stop it or take a look at everything that was like circling and going on and different things, because I wanted to be the difference. I wanted to draw a line in the sand for things that I had been seeing or things that had been going on. But that took me really saying, listen, I'm going to stop it, and I'm finna approach it, and I'm going to attack it. And I'm going to, that goes back to knowing the person, or I'm saying, anger and all of this stuff. If they are not consciously trying to make it better, or consciously trying to better themselves. Like I said, some people don't want to go to therapists, but if they're reading books, if they going on podcasts, if they're doing other things that will help them, or talking to someone that will help them, then that could be something that you could do. But if they're in denial and they saying like, this is me and I'm not moving and I'm not, trying to help anything that I see or things that you may perceive about me, because everybody can't see things about themselves, then there may be a chance that you need to just walk away. Because then you'll be the one, like I was, wanting to help everybody, thinking that they wanted to be helped, but then many of them just wanted to stay in their dysfunction. They didn't want to, because it has to be their choice. Yes. We can't make a grown person do anything. It has to be their choice to do it. And so, what did I write down? I lost my thought, but I'm gonna let Donnie talk, and then I'm gonna come back when I get it.
All right, Donnie, there you go.
Sure. I kind of want to flip it a little bit. I think it's also important for, I guess, this metaphorical person we're talking to. It's important for you to share your own background, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
I guess it's
well,
it's because
wait, hold on. Before we even go any further, yes, it's important. The same thing you're trying to do with someone, if you're the conscious person, you should be doing the same in kind. It shouldn't be a one-way street. The street should run two ways. All right, but now back to our regularly scheduled program. Go ahead, Donnie.
Yeah, just even like practically speaking, right? If you've got some things that went down in your life, maybe you don't know what repercussions they're having on you actively. As we just said, plenty of people, all of us pretty much can't see certain things about ourselves. It's just how humans are. If you've got baggage, I guess is the word people use, as long as the other person is aware of that, they'll be more willing to accept when you're unable to respond to something appropriately, for lack of better words, right? So if you, for example, had parents who didn't have a very good relationship, so you sometimes maybe are a little less trusting than you should be, or something like that. If you're transparent about the things that happen to you, that other person is less likely to be like, oh, this is just some random thing, you're just XYZ way or whatever. They'll at least understand where you're coming from, so they'll be more willing to work on things. I think when you leave people in the dark, they're going to come to their own conclusions, and they're just going to assign you character traits that you maybe don't have, whereas maybe you could have avoided that situation.
Yes, that's true. Definitely. But let me just put a disclaimer in that. That doesn't mean that you go doing these things to people because you have this situation. So he's 100% right. People would be more understanding, but that doesn't give you carte blanche to behave in an inappropriate manner because you have these things about you, because you have these, because some people do. Mm-hmm. Some people have these issues about them and they'll behave according to those issues, like trust issues. So you'll have people who don't trust people, but they'll carry in a negative manner saying, well, I don't trust people because and then they mistreat that person because they're saying, I don't trust them because of my past. So that doesn't, so doing that thing and someone having an understanding doesn't mean you cater to that dysfunction and expect the relationship to maintain its healthiness. So it's important that when you tell that there has to be a direction of healing and overcoming whatever your dysfunction is in terms of trust, so that you can maintain the healthy relationship. And it doesn't mean that you point a finger at someone, you go through their phones, you go through their books and their emails. That's not healthy. So if you have a problem with trust, then once you tell someone that you have this problem, you should be making a conscious effort to deal with that issue that you have and the other person in return. That's, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we're talking about both parties should be engaging appropriately. So the person should be doing his part and the other person should be doing her part of whatever the relationship is. So definitely a good point out there, Donnie. So it looks like LaDon Marie is a little, you okay over there? You need an extra moment? Because it sounded like you were talking over there. You ready for us? Okay.
I am. Interesting point. I love what Donnie brings in. He flips it. What I had written down on the paper was know when to share. Because in the beginning of relationships, like, it may not be permissible to share everything that you've gone through, because you could be sharing it to somebody who's only in your life momentarily, and then you gave them your whole background. And then, since some people will go and use that against you, like if you tell them, all the stuff that happened to you and what you used to do and things that you overcame, sometimes if they're in your life momentarily, it won't end up for the good. So I do believe in sharing what you've been through, but making sure that you're sharing it with somebody that you're actually going to be building with, and that you're sharing it at a time in this relationship that you think that this is pertinent information that can help you all to evolve together. Because I know in my past, I felt like people felt like I felt. And so I probably did share, things that, later, they tried to use it. But that's the reason why I thank God that with my life and things that I've overcame, that it's covered under the blood. And so even that I went through, I have a whole lot of I used to's, but I don't have a lot of, I am. So this is who I am now. So my I used to's are my I used to's. And so I no longer live there. But I just wanted people to know when to share. Like, we're talking about a hypothetical, going into a relationship. So these are still the beginning stages. And you do want to be honest. You do want to be clear. You want to have clarity that what you're sharing, that you're not hiding anything from people, but only start to share with them if you think that it will help to build the relationship that you have, so that it can strengthen you instead of being a weakness. That's just what I had, because I was like, what did I write down? But it was know when to share.
That's certainly a good one. And so, know when to share. I don't really have too much to say about it, because that's pretty much a to Z point that you've made. I can't think of anything to build on in terms of that, because that's pretty precise. People definitely have to know when. Timing is everything. You don't want, like she said, you don't want to tell the wrong person all of your business. And, especially ladies out here, we have a lot of men out here that they take advantage and manipulate vulnerability. And you don't want to give someone and I think even Dawn talked about this a couple of episodes ago too. She was talking about how, she had feelings for someone, and the person kind of got in and, kind of took advantage of the situation and stuff like that. And then she kind of fell hard for the person. And then now she had to, move on because the person really wasn't for her. So definitely timing is everything. You definitely don't want to meet. Well, I think I said this earlier, and you just don't want to say, hi, how you doing? And just tell all your business. This definitely should be over time. Like LaDonna Marie has been saying for almost this entire episode, is you want to space things out. And it's important. unless you know you have 6 months to live. And even then, that's not necessarily so. You shouldn't be in a hurry. That's the problem. When they tell you bake for 15 minutes or until golden brown, you don't be like, I'm hungry now, I'm just going to take it out in 5 minutes, because you're going to be eating a incomplete product. So it definitely has to go at the progress where it feels right, it feels healthy. And you'll know it more so than not if you do things naturally. We talk about organically. You want to do things organically, naturally. Don't force something because you're in a hurry. And if the other person is in a hurry to go somewhere you're not willing to go, that's probably a good indication you should move away from that person, because one, they're not giving you the courtesy that you need to move forward. Because, I always tell someone, like, my thing always was children. I was in a relationship once, and the woman, she really didn't care much for me having a child. And I told myself, I said, he's a baby. This is Donnie, of course, So she wasn't concerned for me spending time with him. She was concerned with me spending time with her. And I said, you don't understand. He didn't ask to be here. This is a voluntary relationship that we have. And I told her, I said, if we broke up today, all I'll be to you is a memory. But whether or not he grows up in my life or not in my life, whether we get along or don't get along, he'll always be my son. That's a permanent bond that lasts through time. Even when I'm gone, I'm still his father. But when I'm gone from your life, I'm no one. And sure enough, it didn't work out. So, I always said with the situation here, you have to respect. You have to respect someone's lifestyle. And if my lifestyle is being a father first, somebody, a Christian or whatever it is, you people have to give you respect for the things that are important for you in your life. Because if they don't, that's not going to go very healthy. It can go far depending on, the dependency of the other person, because a lot of times money plays a factor. Man has money, woman doesn't have money, and, she enjoys the lifestyle. She may put up with being with someone that she doesn't want to be with because she's depending on that income. I know people that experience that now. The guy's very high earner, paid all the bills, but it was not a very good human being. And he didn't have any respect for her feelings, anything like that, but gave her a bunch of kids. And so she feels very hard to break free from that, because he is paying the money. If he walked away, I guess she could file for divorce and fight it out like that. But she would also be having to pay all that money to enjoy the lifestyle that they share together. So, some people, they're afraid to leave bad situations on the dependency of the other person. So it's better to see those things now than put yourself in an uncomfortable position where down the road it's hard to leave it. And I see so many, more so women, some men do go through this, but a lot of women do it. They jump 100% into a situation that isn't healthy, and then they find themselves trapped. And sometimes they have to, it's like a Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do With It. For her to break free of the Ike situation, she literally had to give everything away just to keep her name. So she was like, I don't care about anything. I just want to be able to keep my name. And so there are people that are like that they literally have to, because they've jumped into a bad situation, whether it's moved halfway around the world, and now they have to get into debt. And, that just happened to someone I know recently. She jumped into a relationship, left her home where she lived pretty much her whole life in a city, moved all to the other side of the country, almost near the Eastern Hemisphere. And it was a bad relationship. And then in order for her to break free of this relationship, she had to go into, now she's $10,000 in debt that she doesn't have to pay. So the company that she owes is sticking their hand out, wanting to sue her, because in order for her to break free, she had to sacrifice her good credit, her money, because she spent all her money to move. So she spent all her money to move to a place she couldn't afford to really live on her own. And now she was stuck in that situation where it was like she literally had to go into debt just to leave it. So it's important that people understand when they're meeting people that respect for boundaries, respect for your beliefs and values, that there's a place for you to practice those things in a relationship and an understanding. So I don't know if LaDonna Marie is still in the vicinity. If you are, may your picture blink twice. If not, I guess I can let so I picture didn't blink, so she's not. All right, Donnie. So we'll hopefully hold it down until LaDonna Marie comes back on.
Sure. Oh,
Oh, she's there. She's there. Oh,
there
right
we
on
go.
time.
There
Okay.
we go.
Like Ashanti, always on time.
Please take the floor.
You muted. You muted.
Okay. Yeah. So what was our question again?
I was talking about people being
You were talking
the
you
boundaries.
were talking about the lady who got into that relationship, right?
Right, because she jumped in a situation and the person, there was no respect for the boundaries of people to practice what they felt comfortable in doing, and when it came to themselves and relationships. So a lot of times women, often more so than men, they jump into these relationships, but the person on the other side didn't respect the boundaries that they have for their values and their beliefs, and to respect the beliefs. And we talk about people knowing that when they meet people, not pressuring them to rush into things.
Yes. And I heard when you were speaking, I heard like emotionalism and people being healed. That's one of the things that I had wrote down in the first one, but I knew it was going to be some point that I could jump in with being healed. Because when you are healed in your emotions, then everything that someone else says or suggests, if it does not line up with your core values, then you won't do them. There are a lot of people, myself included, I'm speaking from my own choir. I'm the lead singer right now. When I was younger and I was not healed, I knew I needed to be healed, and I was taking steps and things to be healed. There were a lot of things and situations that I had placed myself in because of that feeling of like a lower sense of self. And so even now, and you can get into a relationship and you can look like you got everything going on, but then it comes down to your decisions. It comes down to actually what you believe in, and you knowing your self-worth and your self-value. And so who I am today and how God has taught me, he's taught me not to be emotionally like directed. I can't think of the word that I want to say, but at the moment it's just like people needing to be healed, because now I'm so not so much strict, but I know that I won't settle for something that is not what I know I'm worth. I won't settle for something. And so that's another reason why I do a lot with girls and women about being emotionally healed and healing and improving their emotional health. Because when your mindset is looking at who you are, the things that you want, the things that you desire, when you see them not showing up in another person or not even being relevant at the time, then you won't go into those relationships. I can say that I was one of the persons, because I've said many times before, I didn't have a roadmap. I didn't have a roadmap to what it looked like to be in a healthy and long-lasting.
Oh man, she froze good there. And that was getting so juicy.
Yeah, she was in that.
Divorced probably at the age when I was married. And so
can
y'all hear me?
Oh,
you kind of got cut off. You was in mid-sentence and then you got cut off.
Yeah, I heard long and healthy.
Long and healthy, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly now.
Okay. So I've always desired and wanted I wanted a healthy relationship. And being that I did not have the guy, or I did not see it in front of me, I can tell you what I learned now is I learned what not to do. I learned what things not to have or not to take or what not to settle for, just because I didn't see what I needed to see. But in that time period, I learned what I needed to learn. And so now I don't feel bad when I go into a relationship, or when we're attempting to start, to stay true to my value, stay true to who I am as a person. So I won't get into something that I'll, like we talked about earlier, you'll be in forever. And you're wondering, why am I here? Well, it was because in the first beginning, you didn't do adequate research on the person, the mindset, and the values of the relationship. And so, my heart goes out to people that are in relationships, and I can only speak from my experience, because I know in times in my life when I made those bad decisions, my self-worth wasn't where it needed to be. And so when your self-worth is not where it needs to be, you'll settle for what you see instead of what you need in your life. And exception of what needs to be as a healthy relationship. And so I hope that, just by listening, that the listeners out there, not just women, but also men, yes, that we begin to be healed from our childhood traumas, even things within ourselves, because I'm one of those ones that in these 8 years that I've been divorced, I've always asked the Lord to search me over, to know my thoughts, like to teach me who I need to be, and purge away from me things that won't help me in relationships or won't help me in connection with other people, not just romantic relationships, but even those that I'm like working relationships. And so we have to be the ones that initiate that change and be the change that we need to see. Like that slogan says, we have to be the one to initiate that change and begin to look at ourselves so that we can be healed, and therefore we won't get into something that we'll be in for a long time.
All right, Donnie. So I'm going to give you the final word here, the final words of wisdom, and then we'll close out the show for the day.
Gotcha. First, of course, with Anna-Marie, all of that was great. I wanted to actually cycle back to something you briefly said earlier on. I believe you mentioned not settling. And yeah, I think that's very important. I introduced this idea briefly in a previous episode, but I think it's very important when going in to know what your non-negotiables are, those things that you cannot sacrifice, because you can settle for like, oh, maybe you don't get the food that you wanted or the haircut or something like that, but you can't be settling in terms of a life partner. That's just going to sabotage yourself further down along the road. And I just wanted to give some practical advice. If you want to know about people respecting your values, I'd say the smallest way that won't come off as pushy or anything like that to see this is just looking at how someone responds when they have to do something with you that is one of your interests, but maybe not one of theirs. Just something like that, something so small like that. If someone's dragging their feet every step of the way, just because you like to go bowling or something, they're not going to be able to respect your religion or your personal beliefs or anything like that. It's full stop. There's no way. So I just wanted to give a quick bit of a practical way to test that, I guess.
And those are definitely words of wisdom to go by. And with that being said, it's a wonderful episode here. We enjoyed Anna-Marie being here with us today. Dawn for the brief moment. We missed Danica Nicole, and Jim is out and about. So hopefully we'll hear from him soon. This is Jonathan St. James for Anna-Marie, Danica Nicole Worthy, Dawn, Jim, and Donnie St. James. We wish you a wonderful week or day, or depending what time you're watching and listening. Take care.
Bye, everybody.